G'day everyone, Jason Foss here from the Capricornia Chamber of Commerce, here as usual with Phil Henry. G'day Phil.
How are you, Jason?
Pretty good. Trip down to the beach and some sunshine, would have been nice.
Clearish skies, yes.
Never mind. It's possibly a sign of things to come though,
Could be,
which
yes.
we'll talk about a little bit later on.
Yeah.
But first, cab off the rank today, a bit to go through is the pulse survey, Phil.
Yeah, we've had some feedback from CCIQ in Brisbane. We're not getting the numbers, basically. And if we don't get the numbers to make it statistically valid, they don't do a customised report for Fitzroy or for our area here.
Yep.
So that closes on whatever I say there on the notes on Monday. So yeah, please do it. Okay, it's pretty simple. It's 10 minutes. It's really only your expectations, your impressions of how the business environment has been and is likely to be, to help us inform basically anything that CCIQ and we need to do in terms of policy development and advocacy. But the numbers are critical. They really are.
Yeah, so go make a coffee and by the time you finished your coffee, you'll have done the survey. It doesn't take that much, but that really helps guide some direction for CCIQ as well as us in helping to deal with some policy issues or whatever else the survey happens to reveal for us. Yeah.
No, indeed. No. So here's the message. Please do it. Thank you.
Right, so fast forwarding into the future a little bit now. Next Tuesday we have a Future of Work presentation, Phil.
Indeed. This is some work that Chamber of Commerce Industry Queensland, CCIQ, has commissioned by some consultants, looking at how the workplace is likely to change over the next few years, probably decades actually. I started to read it this morning, so I can't tell you what it's about, but you can find out for yourself because they're coming up, CCIQ is coming up on Tuesday the 18th. To do a presentation on it. It's at the Rockhampton Leagues Club. If you want to go to that, you can find it on Eventbrite or otherwise just get in contact with me and I can send you a link to register for it. It's free, only an hour and a half, should be interesting. We've got one of CCIQ's policy people coming up and I think one of the authors of the report as well.
I think if you think about how work has changed in the last 2 years, since the pandemic started and the shift to working from home and remote working, there's been quite a few changes in the last couple of years. It's probably shaken the hornet's nest up a little bit, hasn't it?
Oh, it has indeed. We were just talking to somebody about the fact that he was working from home now and what that means for him. So we've had these trends. They've happened as immediate responses to situations and then they get a bit embedded and then you have to go back and look at them and then after you've looked at those you say, well, if we're going to look at those, what else might be happening?
There's a lot of decisions made very quickly out of necessity, but now there's a bit more time, I suppose, to bed some things in, so things run efficiently and smoothly. And
exactly right. And we've got new demographics coming through. I think you and I are probably a little bit past being Gen Zs or millennials or whatever they are. But those cohorts, that demographic thinks differently to us. They see the workplace differently. They look for different things. Kind of when I can remember when I joined the Department of Immigration in 1969. And they asked me, when do you want to retire? And they simply wanted to know that for superannuation purposes, because there was a choice of 60 or 65. And that was my question to them. I said, well, what are the you're 18, what do you know? So I said, what are the choices? And they said 60 or 65, and I flipped a coin and went 65. So, kids, for want of a better term, young people.
Young folk these days.
Young folk, yes, dudes, coming into the workforce. They see it differently. They see their future differently. They want different things out of it. So that's what this report's looking at, and what are the implications.
Yeah, I mean, it's also interesting too. At our last members forum at the Rocky Leagues Club, I remember what it's called this time.
Yes.
So one of the issues that was flagged there is that it's okay for your staff to work from home. That's okay, but then are you responsible for the workplace health and safety of their home office? And all of these waters are really muddy. Like, nobody's figured this stuff out yet.
No, exactly. So this is likely to be quite interesting, quite useful. So if you can spare the time,
next Tuesday the 18th at the Rockhampton Leagues Club.
Yep, exactly right.
Another issue that came out of our last members forum was the issue of trainees and apprentices, and just the lack of staff, which is affecting,
everyone.
I was going to say almost everyone, but probably pretty much everyone. So Phil, you want to nag people about something there again?
Yep, that's exactly what this is. This is nagging, it's nothing else. If you've got examples of how the systems aren't working for you, I was at a presentation yesterday by some providers, which is busy at work, and a few of the usual things came out actually about, what do they need to know. That was a presentation basically about the new apprenticeship incentive scheme that we did hear about at that last meeting, because our gold member, Warren Hale from As International, was talking about that. He's all over it.
Yep.
But yeah, any examples that you've got, and you spoke on our last chamber chat.
Yes.
About your daughter's situation. So we're just after any more real examples of where the system doesn't really work for you. I'm not getting hounded by the department for those for that info, but they're really keen to get real life examples.
They're good to pass some stuff on, for
exactly,
sure.
Yeah.
So let us know.
Yeah, it's nagging, but I'll simply call it a gentle reminder. So there you are.
It's a nag. We all know it's a nag.
Right. Yep.
We have a big event coming up on the 21st of October, Phil.
We do indeed.
Like to share with us?
That's our annual general meeting.
Boy, that was hard to say.
Every annual general meeting. Everybody loves annual general meetings. That's why we call them AGMs. Get them over and done quickly.
Well, it's more important if it's got a TLA.
Yes, indeed. Yes, quite right.
You've got to have the three-letter acronym.
It's a three-letter acronym. You can't say that either.
No.
Right.
So get on the website and register. It is a free event this time,
it's free.
isn't it?
We're making it free as a kind of incentive to come along. The formal AGM part is only a component of the night.
Yeah.
We don't have any speakers or anything like that. It's really, we're making it a casual part of the partnerships and networking objective of the chamber. Just come along, have something to drink, have a good time, have a chat, meet some other folk.
So there'll be 5 to 10 minutes of the boring stuff, and after that it's just a pretty sort of easygoing networking.
Less boring.
Yes,
so,
less boring.
No, all good. And they do really good food at the Sterling.
At the Sterling, yes, that's right. We haven't been there for a while, have we?
Oh, yeah, I was there during the MG get-together. I had dinner there with the Northern Queensland chapter.
Yep.
And I had a vegetarian linguine that was, it's real.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was sensational. So there you go.
Oh, if nothing else, come along for the food.
Come for the food, yeah. No, good one. All right, but it is our gem. Now, I suppose the other thing we should say, if you've ever had a burning desire to join the committee of the Chamber of Commerce, now would be a good time. That sounds like Survivor. Now would be a good time to put your hand up. We are currently down to 5 people on the committee, so we're getting a bit stretched in doing everything that we do for you. So if you'd like to lend a hand, I certainly would be very appreciative. Jason would be very appreciative. The other 3 would be very appreciative. Think about it.
The other three,
yes. That'll be Tanya, Robin and Craig will be the other 3. So, yeah, all right. Cool. Come along, love to see you.
We'll see you there. Speaking of the kind of the slightly overcast weather behind us, and I mentioned before, sign of things to come, Phil had a chat with Dave Mazzaferri, who, he was Livingston's disaster. He's now in a federal role.
Federal role, national.
Disaster Dave apparently is his nickname.
Yes. National Emergency Management Agency is the brand new federal agency, and Dave's part of that.
All right. So in terms of being aware of what the forecasts are for this coming summer, and things like business continuity and just general being prepared, let's have a listen to that chat now.
Morning everybody, I'm Phil Henry from Capricornia Chamber of Commerce, and we're here in Livingston Shire Council's Disaster Hub with Dave Mazzaferri. So he used to be known as Disaster Dave, don't draw the wrong conclusions. But that's all good. No, but David is now with the National Emergency Management Agency, which is a new agency. Dave, tell us a bit about it, please, mate.
Yeah, good morning, Phil. So the National Emergency Management Agency is a relatively new agency. It commenced on the 1st September this year. Now, it's an amalgamation of the Emergency Management Australia Agency and also the National Recovery and Resilience Agency. And the purpose of this formation of this agency is an end-to-end disaster management, which is a fantastic initiative, but also to produce national leadership looking at disasters across the nation. And it's important that we do that. the amount of money that's actually been spent on disaster management over the years is about $38 billion, and it's actually forecasted to increase quite significantly by 2030. So it's important to have that national strategic look, knowing that Queensland and of course local are still the state lead when it comes to disaster management.
Yeah, okay. No, thanks, Dave. Probably fairly good timing that we're doing this here. We're here in the Management Disaster Hub. We've got really interesting stuff on the big screen behind us, and we've heard in the last week some pretty serious forecasts about the storm season for this year. Give us your take on that, please.
Yeah, Phil, so great point, and I'd recommend all the viewers to actually have a look at the Bureau of Meteorology website, and especially to understand the risk, but also to have a look at the latest information from the media team about the upcoming season. Now, we here in obviously Central Queensland focus on flooding when it comes to this season, of course cyclones. So 73% more likelihood of cyclones nationally, and that usually is about 11, and for us here in Eastern it's usually an average of 4, but we're actually likely, according to the Bureau of Meteorology, get 74% more, which of course then brings flooding. So what we would recommend to our viewers is that they actually, as I said, understand their risk, but importantly know what that means for them. Know where their businesses are situated, know where their staff are located, and very importantly what that means for them for transportation routes and also logistics.
Yeah, because it's been, what is it now, about 7 years since the last major disaster, natural disaster event here. We're all humans, Dave. We tend to forget stuff, stuff that isn't really front of mind or confronting us. We tend to shift away, and then it goes to the back of the head. So what are the basics that people need to go back to and start to think about right now?
Yeah, great point, Phil, and it's important. We have experienced multiple disasters since 2015 Tropical Cyclone Marsha, which was probably a little bit of awakening for us when it came to that type of event. We've had multiple bushfires, we've of course had pandemics, and we've had storms, and we had floods. So it's important that as a community, we all know what our hazards are, know what our exposures to that hazards are, and also what we can do to actually treat those hazards. And for the group here about the businesses, timely reminder to say, have we got a business continuity plan?
Yes.
What does that mean for the succession planning of our staff? Are they able to come in? Can we open it up? What's the power capability to do backup generator? Will there be loss of stock if we actually have power for? What's our telecommunications risks, etc.? So I'd recommend that our patrons watching would actually have a look at their business continuity plan, have a chat with staff, and very importantly, go to the local government disaster dashboard and also go to the Bureau of Meteorology and have a look at what the risks say about that.
Yeah, there were some interesting stories from we've had in floods in the past. People have had their network servers on the floor, and all of a sudden lost all their backup and everything. So I guess sort of one way of looking at it, it's sort of the physical stuff, but also the human stuff,
for sure.
As well as you're referring to people's staff. What are their situations? What are going to be their ability to be involved or not? And given that we're in Mental Health Month as well, how are they travelling? If it's something really serious, keeping a check on and making sure you're there for them, and also, as we always know, being there for yourself.
Yeah, exactly right, Phil. Compelling aspects of disasters. We've had multiple disasters here. People do need to reach out for each other, talk. Mate, that's very important. And as business owners and also as manager of staff, that's our role to also support our staff. So have a look at what's happening in the community based on a natural disaster, but also the fear of a natural disaster is also very important. So what are we doing as an entity to make sure we look after our staff, because they're the ones that are going to support us to open our doors and also to provide that service for our customers.
Exactly right. Just flicking back to the physical stuff, we had some interesting situations last time with telecommunications. Are you aware of any sort of improvements in the telecommunications network, particularly with our two major providers, about what's likely to stay up and what's likely to go down?
I think it's important that the local disaster management group, through the district disaster management group, are assessing all those risks, and our telcos are actually providing that information. The benefit of having some strong community-led approach to disasters through Rockhampton, through Livingston in this case, through the local disaster management group, those players play a pivotal role in actually supporting the community. NBN with the capability as well to provide that source. So very important that we always review our risk. We call it exposures, always make sure we're aware of our exposure, what the vulnerability are, and constantly work on improvement. improvement.
Terrific, Dave. So I guess, look, that's the basics. We'll get people to sort of review their situation, and you would hope they've already got a business continuity plan, in which case go back to it and see if it's still valid. If it isn't, do one now. So any final message?
The final message is understand your risk. So the Bureau of Meteorology has given that information. The local government, through their local disaster management group, have their disaster dashboards, keep up to date, and just be aware for warnings. So the Bureau of Meteorology warnings send out flood warnings, cyclone watches, etc. So just be aware, but not only be aware of it, do the what ifs. What does that actually mean for you? What has this potential to impact me? Am I going to be able to open my doors up? Are my staff going to be impacted? Have those conversations with your staff as well.
Indeed, Dave. It's serious stuff, and business owners should take it seriously.
Correct. Yeah.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Now, any of you who know Phil at all will know that he loves modern technology and he loves the latest gadget and the new whiz-bang latest thing, don't you?
One of my staff, when I retired from the Department of State Development, gave me a school report card where I got a fail on technologies. So, no, I struggle, mate.
But he has found something that he's quite impressed with.
Yeah, no, that's this. So it's one of these electronic business cards, and you're probably aware of them. You can get them from different places. This has been developed by a business owned by the fellow who used to be president of the Brisbane Junior Chamber of Commerce, Nathan Shocker, and some of his staff. They also developed check-in apps and combined check-in and registration apps during our COVID sort of lockdown time. They're pretty clever, but this is the electronic business card. They're called Mod C cards, and usually what you do, if somebody's got a phone, you just tap it on the phone. If they've got near-field communications enabled, how do you like that? I know this stuff. It's
wow.
called, it's NFC, which is another TLA.
I am impressed.
If they've got near-field communications enabled, you just tap it and your details as the card holder go across immediately. If they don't have it, you just show them the QR code and they scan it and in you go. So think about something like this, and if you're going to get them, have a chat to us, because we'll put you in touch with the people who develop these for us. And probably, let's be honest, they work like all the others, but we like to support people who support us. And I've got to say, Nathan, who I got to know pretty well during the COVID times with all our Zoom meetings and Teams meetings and stuff like that, he has got Queensland businesses at his heart, and he's looking to do stuff. So this is sort of one of the things that does that. So have a think about it, and if you're interested, get in touch with me.
We've had a fair bit on our plate today, on our to-do list, a few things to run through. So if you have trouble absorbing all of this, you can get a written version.
It looks like this, but it won't look like this when you see it, because it will be in Saturday's edition of CQ Today, who are another one of our gold members. So like to support CQ Today. It's a good local paper. It's got the community at its heart.
They've been good supporters of the Chamber as well.
And they have been excellent supporters of the Chamber. So the column will be in there. There'll be a little bit of stuff that you've heard, and probably some other stuff if I decide to rewrite this afternoon, which is what I usually do, because I love rewriting things.
Love the sound of the deadline and the whooshing sound it makes as it goes.
That's right. That's the sound. The phone. It's the sound of Matthew Pearce ringing me up saying, "Where is it? You've passed your deadline." So like I say, please get the local paper, and there'll be a bit from us in it.
Cool. All right. Have we finished our list for today? I think we probably have.
That's all I had on my list, Jason. Is there nothing on yours?
No, there's lots of things on mine, but not the kinds of things I'm going to discuss with everybody here.
All right.
Register for the AGM. It's free. Fill in the pulse survey, and we'll talk to you in the next one. It's goodbye from me.
And it's goodbye from him.
See you later.